because he's the guy he thinks has the best chance to get the nomination in 24. But I say he has no chance. He's much too radical left, Newsom. And the only person who does have a chance is Michelle Obama. So I asked my crack crew to find me a guy who knows a lot about Michelle Obama today and what she's up to, what she's doing. So we came up with a man named Joel Gilbert. He is a filmmaker, and he has a film about Michelle Obama coming out shortly. And he says, quote, Michelle Obama is not who she pretends to be, unquote. Mr. Gilbert joins us now from Los Angeles. First of all, when can people see this film, Joel?
It's available now on salemnow.com, and it's also a book version on Amazon. So it just came out last week, and you can go on amazon.com or salemnow.com to watch the film or read the book.
How long is the film?
An hour, 45 minutes.
Okay. And it's solely Michelle Obama?
Right. It's called Michelle Obama 2024, Her Real Life Story and Plan for Power. And I make the case that on the one hand that Michelle is running. I go through the three, things that make it very obvious to me. Number one is she started a voter registration organization called When We All Vote, very similar to what Barack did back in 1992. In his political career, he started out with Project Vote. Of course, Barack based his candidacy on his personal story, his book, Dreams from My Father. And Michelle wrote Becoming back in 2018. She went on a world book tour. She's still on tour. And then finally, Michelle was the keynote speaker for Joe Biden in 2020, the same as Barack was in 2004 for John Kerry. The keynote speaker slot, typically they give to the person they think will be the nominee at the next convention. So I make the case she's running for president already, and then I do a deep dive into her background from her childhood, and I show that her whole life story is nothing like she says. She's from a very privileged background, political family. Her father was a precinct captain working for the Democrat Party machine, and Michelle is really following in his footsteps.
Okay, so let's get very specific. Number one, I understand that Michelle Obama's father in Chicago was a school janitor. Is that not true?
No, he actually worked for the water department in a patronage job. It means he got this job, which was given to him in exchange for being a precinct captain. That's what he did most of the time.
Okay, but before that, was he a school janitor?
No, sir.
He never was a school janitor?
No, he was not. He was in the Army, actually, and came back from the Army and got this job, a patronage job, working for the city as an inspector at the water department.
Okay, that faked me out then, because, in her bio, I did not read her book. I should have, but I just didn't have time to read her book. Does she say that her father was a school janitor? Is that on record anywhere coming from her?
No, she tells the story in different ways. Sometimes he's a janitor at the water department. Sometimes he's a laborer, but in fact, he was an inspector. And that was the job that the Democrat Party machine would give away these jobs. About 20,000 of these jobs were given away to people in exchange for working for the Democrat Party.
For the party in Chicago. So he's a precinct guy. All right. Now, she herself never really overtly said, I want this kind of power. She's always portrayed herself as somebody in the background, supportive of her husband when he was president, but doesn't come across like Hillary Clinton does, really wants the power. She's been successful in doing that, correct?
Well, that's correct. Well, you'll remember that back in 2008, she was so over the top political, she was actually hurting the campaign. She's actually a better speaker than Barack. She's a better politician, and she actually comes across more authentic. And she went so far over the top, you'll recall she said, for the first time in my life, I'm proud of my country.
That was bad.
And that's when they had to reel her in, and they said, look, Michelle, you're hurting the campaign. You hate politics, and you just want to be the mom in chief. And so they kind of reined her in right there. And ever since, she's kind of played this role of somebody that doesn't like politics, likes to be a fashionista on the covers of all these magazines. But in reality, she's a very, very political person. And she was just here in LA a couple of weeks ago with her When We All Vote organization, hitting every Democrat talking point, fiery speech. So I'm convinced she's running for president.
Okay. Is she to the left of her husband? And if so, how far?
I think Michelle pretty much toes the line in terms of the Democrat Party policy. She gave a group of very good speeches supporting Hillary Clinton. She gave the speeches supporting Joe Biden. So she kind of goes along and says whatever the party is saying. I don't think she's an ideologue like her husband Barack is, but I think she comes across and pushes the same policies despite not really being an ideologue like Barack was.
All right, but I would assume she's an equity person. Let's Joe Biden, minority groups with special treatment from the country, reparations possibly down the road. I assume she's in that camp. And that's going to be a pretty tough sell if she tries to run for president in 24, because as I wrote in my column this week, the progressive movement's getting damaged by Joe Biden. And I know Michelle Obama is popular, and that will go a long way for her securing the nomination. But what she stands for, equity, special treatment, soft on crime, crazy economic policies, global warming, all of that, that's not going to play, Joel. Do you think she realizes that?
I think it probably doesn't matter because she's gotten like 15 billion worth of free positive earned media for like 15 years. So she'll appeal to nostalgia. Remember how much you loved it when Barack was president.
Right.
Remember how much you loved the Obama years. I'm going to bring us all together. So these are the type of themes that transcend all those policies. And I think she'll be a very formidable opponent. And Republicans, I think, they need to see this film and read the book, and they'll understand that Michelle actually is vulnerable. And the vulnerability has to do with who she really is. She's someone that ran away from the Black community her whole life in education, in work. And then I chronicle how she exploited the Black community working for the mayor of Chicago, knocking down the projects, making 20,000 Blacks homeless at Cabrini Green, and then working for the University of Chicago Medical Center, where she ran this illegal patient dumping scheme to prevent Black Southsiders from seeking medical care at the University of Chicago Hospital, and literally dumping them in these crappy neighborhood clinics that I visited in the film to prevent them from receiving health care. So
yeah, but you know as well as I do, African Americans not going to buy any of that. I can't see her in Iowa. I can't see her doing retail politics. Maybe I'm wrong here, but she seems to be a bit imperious to me. Does she really want to slog it through and have guys like you scrutinizing her? And Republicans are going to tear her to pieces, brick by brick. You know what's going to happen. It'll be the dirtiest campaign in American history, particularly if Trump runs against her. Trump runs against her. God. Go ahead.
Look, I think they're afraid. They'd be afraid to attack her, because if you attack her, you're going to be called racist,
not Trump,
sexist, hater.
Not Trump.
But look, she did retail politics. People, you got to remember back 2007, 2008, she was in Iowa every night giving speeches, and she's pretty good at it. And I think you'll see her star on the campaign trail to huge audiences. She gives good speeches, and I think she has all the potential to overcome some of those obstacles.
All right. You know her better than I do. Final question. If Michelle Obama were ever elected president of this country, could she govern better than Biden has, or would the country then take another lurch someplace, in your opinion?
Now, in my opinion, these policies are failures. They don't work. And I think Michelle will pursue the exact same policies, but in the person of someone that's very difficult to criticize. And so I think that's the route we would go. So
would Barack Obama be running the country again, or would Michelle just keep him in the family room?
I think there'll be a pretense that he's not that much involved, but I think he'll be very much calling the shots, as most people believe he is today.
All right, the doc is Michelle Obama 2024, her real life story and plan for power. You can get it on Salem.com. Is that what you said? Salem.com?
SalemNow.com.
SalemNow.com and Amazon. It's there.
Correct. The book's on Amazon.
Right. All right. And we appreciate it if she does jump in. Joel will certainly check back with you. And thanks for taking the time tonight.
Thank you so much.
Okay, here's a good media story. By good, I mean illuminating.